Hello, and welcome to the eMedNY computer-based training series for New York State Medicaid providers. This video is part of our enrollment series of tutorials. The purpose of this session is to familiarize providers with completion of the annual wage parity attestation on the provider enrollment portal. The wage parity attestation affects those providers who are being reimbursed for home care aid services in New York City, Westchester, Nassau, and Suffolk counties. If your organization or your home care aides are providing services in those counties, even if the location of your organization is in a bordering county, you will need to complete this. It is for those home care aid services being provided in those counties. Wage parity attestation is an annual process and only affects certain provider types. Wage parity must be completed for any managed care organization or managed long-term care plan who is reimbursing for services provided in the previously mentioned counties. Agencies that are certified home health agencies or CHA, long-term home health care programs, LICSA or licensed home care services agencies, and agencies providing CDPAP or Consumer Directed Personal Assistance Program, also known as fiscal intermediaries. These are the provider types who are going to need to do the wage parity attestation. Again, this is for those provider types who are providing services in New York City, Westchester, Nassau, and Suffolk counties. Wage parity attestation forms will be submitted electronically to the Department of Health through the provider enrollment portal that we will introduce in this tutorial. The eMedNY provider enrollment portal can be found at the web address enrollment.emedny.org. Further information about wage parity can be found on the New York State Department of Health website, located at the MRT or Medicaid Redesign Team section of the department's website. We will review the location of these websites with some easy-to-access links and additional wage parity information on the wage parity page of eMedNY.org. The eMedNY.org website has been updated to provide easy access to wage parity information. You'll find the link to that on the right-hand side of eMedNY.org. Clicking on the wage parity button will bring you to the resource page regarding wage parity. You'll be directed to the Home Care Worker Wage Parity home screen, where you will find directions for attestation along with other useful links. Let's take a look at some of those useful links. Some providers may need to update their correspondence email address within the eMedNY system, as the provider enrollment system will use this email address to verify a provider. If you do not have an email address already on your correspondence address file, then you may need to give us one. In this useful links, there is a change email for attestation link. This will open up a form that will be used to submit a change to a correspondence email. If you have questions about this correspondence email that is on file, you can reach out to the eMedNY call center at 800-343-9000. The call center will identify if you need to complete this action. The next link is Provider Enrollment. This is a way of getting to the provider enrollment pages on eMedNY.org. If you are not currently enrolled in New York Medicaid, you will need to do so that you can submit your wage parity attestation on an annual basis. If you had previously registered for the Provisional Temporary Provider Enrollment Portal, you will need to re-register using the Provider Enrollment PE portal to complete your certification of compliance. The attestation form link will take a provider directly to the eMedNYID sign-in screen. This is helpful for those providers who may already have access to the enrollment portal. The next link we'd like to highlight is very important. This is the New York State Department of Health website. This link will bring you out to the New York State Department of Health MRT 61 page that contains information about the worker wage parity. If you have questions about wage parity, the policy behind it, you'll want to take a look at this website. You'll find additional notices about wage parity also at this site. Clicking on the larger Provider Enrollment Portal link found on this page will redirect providers to the Provider Enrollment Portal home screen with further information on how to register for the PE portal. Let's continue with that process. The PE portal home screen has several helpful quick links on the top right. There you'll find access to FAQs, frequently asked questions, an option to change your correspondence email address, and user guide for the IAM, or Identity Access Management portal, which we're going to be using shortly. There's also a list of upcoming PE portal webinars. Providers will find a step-by-step outline of the sign-up process we will discuss in this tutorial. At the bottom of the PE portal homepage, there's a Practitioners Click Here to Begin link. We will start the process of registering for the Provider Enrollment Portal by clicking this link. Once you've clicked on the link, you will be brought to the eMedNYID sign-in screen. Towards the bottom of the screen, you're going to click on Sign Up to create your account. You're going to create your account by giving us an email address, a password, your first name and last name. The password must contain at least 16 characters with at least one number, one symbol, a lowercase and an uppercase letter. Make sure it does not contain part of your username, which is going to be your email address, and it does not contain either your first or last name. Once again, in order to initiate this account, you'll have to complete all of the fields with an asterisk, which will be your email address, password, first and last name. Then you'll click Register. A message will be returned indicating verification email sent. To finish signing up, check the email address you included as part of this registration process. You'll see an email that says hi with your name and welcome to eMedNYID. We're then going to prompt you to activate your account by clicking Activate Account. This will bring you to the next step, setting up your MFA, or multi-factor authentication. Access to the PE portal is going to require at least one form of MFA. You can see there are 5 options to choose from, one of them being OctaVerify, another being Security Key or YubiKey or Biometric Authenticator. You can also use Google Authenticator. The last 2 options here are SMS authentication, which is a text message sent to your mobile device, and a phone call for voice authentication. You're going to have to set up at least one of these forms of MFA, but we highly recommend that you have at least 2. We recommend at least 2 forms if for some reason that first option is unavailable to you. Then you'll have at least have a backup MFA to get into the portal. Here's an example of successfully setting up the SMS and voice call authentications. You can tell the text messaging and phone call options have been selected by the check marks next to those enrolled factors. You still have the option of adding additional forms of MFA in the future, but for now, you have the 2. You would click Finish. There are 2 more steps to complete your account setup. Choose a Forgot My Password question and select a security image. Here is where you'll choose your Forgot My Password question. Simply select a question from the drop-down list and provide an answer. Make sure that the answer contains at least 4 characters. The last step is to choose a security image. This image is going to show up when you log back in, as you'll see momentarily. Select one of the 12 little pictures shown here. Let's pick the one on the bottom middle, for example. Notice a little check mark on the selected image. Once you've selected a security image, click Create My Account. You might see a screen that looks like this at the end of the process. If you do, just click on the eMedNYID logo on the top left, and you'll be redirected to the Provider Enrollment Portal. We've reached the PE portal dashboard after going through the steps of creating an eMedNYID account. Now we're going to show you how to log in to the PE portal once you've created an account and have a username and password. There is a specific web address, https://iam.emedny.org. We recommend that you bookmark this website in your web browser for easy access. Let's go through the direct sign-in process from iam.emedny.org. Here's the eMedNYID screen. Now you have an account with an email address. Having successfully gone through the enrollment process, you're going to enter your email address as your username. Then click Next. You'll see the previously selected security image appear. Enter your password and click Sign In. The next prompt will be for multi-factor authentication. Since we have two options to choose from based upon your account setup, select an MFA method from the drop-down list. In this example, we will select the SMS text message method. Having selected SMS authentication, click the Send Code button to generate and send an authentication code to your mobile device via text message. Once you receive this code, type the code into the Enter Code field. There is a Do Not Want to be Challenged Again on this device for the next 15 minutes option above the Verify button. By clicking this option, you will not have to go through the MFA process again if you logged out and then came back in again within 15 minutes. Click Verify. Having successfully verified your MFA, you are now in the eMedNY application dashboard. On the top left, you'll see Hello and your name. The icon with a little cog or gear is going to allow you to bring up your user profile. From this screen, there's an option to manage your eMedNYID account settings. By clicking the Edit Profile, you'll be able to update your personal information as well as change your security image, password, and forgotten password question. The eMedNY application dashboard is where you'll find an inbox. The inbox contains messages or notifications related to transactions that you're working on within the PE portal. To access the PE portal from the eMedNY application dashboard, click on the Provider Enrollment icon. Here is the Provider Enrollment portal dashboard home screen. On the top right corner of the PE portal dashboard, you'll see Hello and your name along with 3 bars. By clicking on the 3 bars, you will gain access to a user menu with several options related to your accessibility and theme preferences, as well as a user manual and the Logout button. Before you can submit wage parity attestations, users must select and link your provider to the PE portal. We will start the process by clicking on My Providers. You're going to link a provider to the user's account by entering the provider's NPI or Medicaid ID number and clicking Look Up. In this pop-up response message, we're letting you know that there's no matching provider in the system with the Medicaid ID entered by the user. Let's try that again. In this example, the user entered a 10-digit NPI instead of a Medicaid ID number. Click Look Up. This pop-up response message indicates the NPI entered has been found and is asking you to verify that this is the correct provider. If this is the correct provider, click Next to continue the process of linking this provider to your user account. Once you've clicked Next, a pop-up will appear indicating your account is not currently linked to this provider. Click the Send PIN to send a 6-digit PIN to the correspondence email address that's on file for this provider. Here is an example of a PIN notification email. Keep in mind, the email is sent to the provider's correspondence email address on file. As we mentioned earlier, if you're not sure of the provider's correspondence email address, you can contact the eMedNY call center at 800-343-9000. The PIN is valid for up to 5 days, so you have time to track down the correspondent's email address that's on file. The enrollment process will pend for 5 days until the PIN is entered. Enter the 6-digit PIN in the PIN number field and click Submit. After having successfully added the linked provider to the user's profile, we can proceed with the wage parity attestation process. The first and most direct option is to click Submit Now under the Looking for EVV or Wage Parity Attestation section. A Submit Attestation pop-up will prompt the user to select an organization from a drop-down list. In this example, we're selecting XYZ Home Care and clicking the Continue button. This brings the user directly into the Attestation section of the My Provider profile. Click on the Submit a Wage Parity Attestation button to enter the wage parity attestation process. A second option available to users looking to enter wage parity attestations would be to click on the name of the linked provider listed in the My Dashboard My Linked Providers page. Clicking on the linked provider brings the user to the My Profile section of the Provider Enrollment portal. From the My Provider Profile section, select the Attestation option. Click on the Submit a Wage Parity Attestation button. An attestation confirmation pop-up will appear. Click on Proceed to Attestation. To start the attestation process, the first item to select is your provider type. You will notice that the system only allows you to select one at a time. If you are a provider who has multiple categories of service, such as a CHA and a fiscal intermediary, you will need to do this a second time for the other category. You will only be allowed to select one of these at a time. The next section, you will need to select the type of entity you are. Are you a not-for-profit voluntary, government public entity, or a for-profit and proprietary entity? Once you select one of those, the section will complete. Once you've completed both of these sections, the following attestation forms will be based on the selection you've completed. We will review the different attestations next. This is an example of a selection made for a CHA for a profit entity. Notice that the system will alert you that you've completed each section, and then you will move on to the attestation form by clicking Next. Before moving on, we would like to review each different provider type attestation form. The following is an example of a long-term home health care plan attestation or certification form. It is recommended that those attesting to the wage parity read through the attestations carefully, as there may be additional instructions found within once complete. Check the box off at the bottom and click Next. This is the attestation or certification for fiscal intermediaries. Please read through this as you are attesting to this information and the additional instructions found therein. Please note that number 3 does state that the fiscal intermediary has provided each managed care organization an annual statement of wage parity hours and expenses. There are actions that need to be taken. You will check the box off at the bottom of the attestation and click Next. The following is an example of a CHA. It is again recommended to follow through and read the entire statement. Check off the box at the bottom and click Next. The following is a LICSA certification or attestation, and again, this provider is similar to the fiscal intermediary. You'll want to note any action that you may need to follow. Check the box off at the bottom of the certification statement and click Next. And finally, this is what a managed care organization is going to see for the attestation. Make sure to read through the attestation carefully, check the box off at the bottom, and click Next. The previous screens highlighted the different attestations. Now, we will look at the three different entity types. Remember, this is the second section where you selected of the three, whether your organization is a not-for-profit, government, or for-profit entity. First, we'll look at the government or public entity attestation. The individual submitting the wage parity attestation, whose information is entered here, must be the highest level management person in the provider entity. You will then select whether this is an individual not responsible for the operation of the provider or a public official responsible for the operation of the provider. Then you click Next. Next option is the not-for-profit. The name entered is going to be based on the drop-down menu found at the bottom. This will be completed by either the CEO, CFO, a chairperson of the governing board, or an officer of the organization. Complete the fields as needed. Select the individual type submitting the attestation and click Next. The last example is the for-profit and proprietary attestation. As with the previous examples, you're entering the name of a representative and you're selecting their title in the drop-down. The selections in the drop-down are owner, operator, or CEO. So those are the three different entity types. Again, these will be based upon your selection at the beginning of the type of organization you are. You will check off the box on the attestation form, complete the submitter information based on your entity type, and click Next at the bottom of those screens. The following is an example of a completed submitter screen. Once you click Next, the system will make sure that all sections are filled out and ask for confirmation to continue. Click Continue to review and submit your entry. The system will ask for confirmation of the information entered. This is your chance to make sure you've entered everything correctly. Review the entry, check the box at the bottom, and click Submit. You have now completed the attestation. Return to your dashboard. Upon return to the Provider Enrollment dashboard and opening the profile of your provider, you will find that clicking on the Attestations menu on the left-hand side will show you your attestation was completed. Clicking on the Details link for the completed attestation will display details and the active date range for that attestation. If another attestation for your same provider ID needs to be completed, you can do so by clicking on the Add a Wage Parity Attestation option on the right. If another attestation is needed for a different provider ID, you will need to link that provider ID to your account and complete the attestation steps again. The following are some important reminders. Currently, the PE portal is for practitioner enrollment maintenance transactions and the wage parity attestations. Additional transactions will be added in the future and announced ahead of time. It is recommended that providers choose at least 2 multi-factor authentication mechanisms, and the provider PIN request will be sent to the correspondence email on file with eMedNY. If you need assistance with that, please contact the eMedNY call center at 800-343-9000. Additional reminders, attestations must be completed for each selected type of home care entity that is enrolled in New York State Medicaid, providing services in New York City, Westchester, Nassau, and Suffolk counties. If you are enrolled in Medicaid as a CHA and LICSA, an attestation will need to be completed for both types. If your parent organization owns or controls more than one agency, the attestation must be signed for each separately incorporated provider type. Again, if a parent company owns or controls separate enrolled entities such as a CHA, LICSA, or fiscal intermediary, you would log in and complete 3 attestations, one for each entity based on your enrollment type. If a parent company owns or controls 4 different LICSAs, then log in, link each entity to the account, and complete 4 separate attestations, one again for each of those entities. And if you have a single legal entity that's enrolled as a CHA and LICSA, then complete 2 attestations, one for the CHA and one for the LICSA, even though you are enrolled as a single legal entity. This information is reviewable on the Department of Health MRT 61 website regarding wage parity. Finally, a reminder about additional resources. The Provider Enrollment Portal, where you'll do your attestation, is available on eMedNY.org website. Click on the Wage Parity button on the right-hand side of the homepage. For policies and regulations related to wage parity and about compliance and certification, you could go out to the New York State Department of Health MRT 61 website. We will also link you to that site through the wage parity page on eMedNY.org. Questions on policy and guidance related to wage parity can be directed to the email address hcworkerparity@health.ny.gov. If you have questions about your enrollment file and the email address that is on file for your correspondence address, remember that is where we're sending the PIN number that you may need to link your provider to your account. You can contact the call center at 800-343-9000. This concludes our wage parity attestation tutorial. Thank you for joining, and please visit us at www.emedny.org for additional training resources.